Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Jeff Charles, Sarah Cowgill, Tim Donner, and Scott Cosenza. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. Being Vice President of the United States is not all about representing the nation at funerals or stepping up at the most dire of circumstances. Veeps have the tie-breaking vote in the Senate and the job of opening certified electoral certificates. But there are limits to what a vice president can do, and Mike Pence's power at the joint session of Congress may have been greatly exaggerated of late. Some Trump supporters are insisting that he could use his role as presiding officer to invalidate the results from various states, causing the hashtag Pence card to trend on social media. Wishful thinking? And while the Veep is not allowed to toss out any electoral votes, folks are wondering if he will open both the official electoral votes and the self-appointed alternate electors in those controversial swing states. Let's begin with our Debbie Downer, Scott D. Cosenza, Esquire. What are the odds that the vice president may have a parting gift for Congress, Scott, or will he play nice in the sandbox?
The odds are thankfully quite low. I think that it would be...
Whoa, thankfully.
The Constitution is quite clear. The 12th Amendment says that the vice president shall count the votes that are presented by the states. It's not that the vice president shall determine what are valid votes and not valid votes and reopen the election. He's to take the votes and read them and enter them. And that is his constitutional role. And to the extent that he deviates from that, he violates his oath of office, as far as I see it, regardless of what skullduggery or nefarious activities went on in November. He has one role here. And if he doesn't do that role, he's trashing the Constitution, as I see it, at least. And so that's why I think it's infinitesimal. I don't think he will, not to mention the fact that I think for his political future, the math would be, for every the opposite of a never Trumper, I guess, is an always Trumper, right? Good or bad. So for every always Trumper that he would lose for doing that, I think, or gain by doing it, rather, he would lose so many other people who value fidelity to our Constitution and the norms and legalities that it prescribes.
Well, may I just ask, what about fidelity to the electoral process? What about all these people that dumped votes and screwed with machines, and is that not unconstitutional as well? I'm just saying, are these not acts of unconstitutional behavior?
Probably, and nowhere in the Constitution does it say that when other things happen, does the vice president get to throw his constitutional duties that are prescribed to him, required by law. Right in the Constitution, it says he shall do this. It doesn't say he shall do this if and when he certifies that other constitutional errors didn't occur. No, it doesn't say that. It says he shall do this.
Are you saying that the only people that have to play by the Constitution are conservatives, and the left gets to just play willy-nilly and do what they want with it? Because that's basically what you just said.
Are you saying, Sarah, that if somebody breaks the Constitution on one side and they're not immediately punished, then other constitutional officials get to do whatever the hell they want? Because it sounds like that's what you just said. I think that everybody should follow the law and the Constitution and suffer the consequences if they don't, no matter who they are.
We need to bring this up from the same perspective I was talking about before, which is Mike Pence and his political future. Because going into this election, you had to figure that he would be at least the default front runner for 2024 for president. Now, if he takes this extraordinary measure, he has to weigh for his own political future what that would do for him. And to fall on his sword for a last-ditch, long shot, 1,000-to-1 shot to overturn an election, I think his calculus would be that that will cost him his shot at the presidency. Others would say, well, he'll be a hero to the 74 million Trump voters because he was willing to stand up to the end. But that's the decision facing him. And frankly, no one has more pressure on him about this than Mike Pence.
Oh, agreed. But Mike Pence is not a favorite of the red states. He never was. He balanced Trump's, abrasiveness to some degree, but there's not going to be a rallying cry for Mike Pence for president in 2024. There will not be.
If there is anybody in American politics who I would not want to be right now, it would be Vice President Mike Pence.
Agreed.
Damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. And the reality is that the majority of Americans and the majority of people on the right are not constitutional scholars like Scott is. So they don't know that the Constitution orders him to do this. And then you throw in the lawsuit that Representative Louis Gohmert has filed, sort of against Pence, but not really against him. It's more to if that lawsuit were to succeed, then Pence would be able to choose which electors he counts. But that one's a long shot as well. But all people see is the fact that Louis Gohmert filed this lawsuit, and they don't understand the full context of it. And what'll happen is if Pence does not uphold this, if he goes with the way the Constitution says, he's going to get a lot of fire for it. And I don't think that people will forget about it by 2024. But even then, we don't even know if he even plans on running in 2024. We don't know what his future plans are either. So
Jeff, I think whatever he does, whichever way he goes, is political suicide. So, yep. Don't look for Mike Pence going, "Hey, look at me. I was with Trump for 4 years."
Yeah, one could make the argument that if he does just go along to get along, that might piss off a lot more people. I'm just saying.
I think it's a matter of
it's
whether
not going along to getting along
to
fulfill his constitutional obligation and obey his sworn oath. That's not going along to get along. And we don't have a society where because one person does something wrong, you could just do whatever the hell you want. And if he reads these pretend electoral votes, I will write checks to whoever his opponent is going forward to make sure that he never sees power again. That's how horrible it is to just invent electoral. It doesn't get more profoundly existential to the question of our republic than choosing this leader. And just because horrible things happened in the lead up that may have been unconstitutional, certainly were illegal, that does not give Pence the right or power to do anything other than his job and his duty. And I think that I hope that most Americans will join me in demanding and expecting him to do just that and not go far afield.
Well, I think
I'm spot on this. Because what we're talking about here is something really dangerous. Yes, the Democrats didn't honor the Constitution, but what happens when both sides don't honor the Constitution? We might as well just rip it up and just draft something new that says if one party does something, the other party gets to do it. It doesn't work that way. If somebody comes and steals my car, he should get punished by the law. But if I go and steal his car as revenge, that still doesn't justify what I'm doing. So even though the Democrats don't care, we can find other ways to subvert their plans. We know they don't play fair, so now we know what to do. But it doesn't mean that we need to sacrifice our principles, which are based on the Constitution.
I think for Mike Pence, it's a matter of if he prefers the electric chair or the gas chamber.
Yes.
Because that's what, as Jeff said, that's what's facing
one thing in here, if I might, Lisa. We just passed this. There was this almost passed. I guess I don't know what the current. Is Mitch done with it anyway? This giant spending bill that was the COVID relief package part 2, and nowhere in that bill, and there was there was no word limit, as we know by looking at what was all included in that legislation. Nowhere did they say all states must certify their election results to X standard. And as I understand it, Florida has a good standard that people on both sides of the aisle tend to agree with is fair and true to vote kind of a thing. But in any case, pick a model that everybody can agree on. They're out there, and give federal money or condition federal money on states certifying that it meets that by the next congressional cycle, for instance. This could be done, but they're not doing it. There's no demand happening there for these systems to actually come up to where they can be relied on. And until that impetus is there and people, move in that direction, we're never going to see the end of this election shenanigans.
Well, not yet. Because, it's not over till it's over, Scott. And I think hopefully we will see things like that. I get the two wrongs don't make a right. I remember my dad saying that. But at the same time, you can't have half of the country playing by the Constitution and the other half playing by their own damn rules.
Well,
that doesn't work.
The problem is the perception. The perception of over half the voters in this country is that this election was not free and fair. Sure, perception is not concrete, but it is as a political force, and it is for the future of the country. So that must be solved. And I mean that no matter what who takes the oath of office on January 20th, likely Joe Biden, these investigations have to continue full bore, and we need to hear everything, and it needs to be digested. It needs to be put into a form that people can fully understand the breadth of the fraud that did occur in this election, and let them decide on their own whether the election was stolen or not, but give them confidence going forward that we can actually believe that the vote that's reported is true.
You're damn straight. Otherwise, there will be a generation of conservatives that won't even bother to vote.
Exactly.
Why should they? In fact, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people in Georgia now wondering whether they should vote.
Yep.
That's true. I mean, Trump was
This
the one
is
that
why
got
we need
people
federal
off their
action.
couches.
Right there. Good.
Oh, the libertarian calling for federal action. Okay.
Federal
I
standards
personally
for
just don't
election
see our, let
integrity.
me just finish, Scott.
She gotcha.
I personally don't see our vice president throwing down a joker in the hallowed chambers, but this is no ordinary process. It's no ordinary election. I mean, I honestly, I don't care one whit about Pence. I care more about the results and the outcome, but Pence has always struck me as a man of restraint. He was the yin to Trump's yang. And if he plays nice in the sandbox at this historic moment, I fear he could ruin his reputation and the America First crowd for eternity. Now, what you're saying is he will violate the Constitution. And my point is the Constitution has already been violated. And that's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all our TV productions. Thanks so much for tuning in, and remember to surf on over to libertynation.com. Sign up for our new member zone, just $17.76 a year. And remember, liberty all the time and everywhere.